All right, welcome to the fourth and final game of the evening. Up this time is Slain Back from Hell. Slain Back from Hell, a heavy metal inspired arcade combat with puzzle elements and gore galore. I think they missed a word there. Stunning visuals and true old school gameplay, accompanied by the most metal soundtrack you've ever heard. So describing this style of gameplay as arcadey, I see what they were going for, but not really. Actual arcade gameplay. It's not very arcadey. It's not even that old school either. Honestly, it's a bit too elaborate to be that. It's not Soulsborne either. Obviously, the best comparison I can make towards the game, the gameplay systems is Castlevania. Kind of a mix of different Castlevanias. Like, the level design is definitely classic-vania, but the combat is very Alucarded. Because, I'm trying to remember his name here. Bathorn here wields a sword. And, well, look at it.
Yeah, honestly, if you told me this was Alucard, I'd probably believe you if I didn't see the blue cape.
Right. And, you've got your basic slashes here. You've got your charge move here, which actually does require some time. You have to let it go when it fully light, when you get that light up effect. Yeah, that one there. It takes a bit to get used to, but you also have to take into account how long it charges and calculate how the distance of the enemy. I'll be honest, the charge move is something I found I didn't use all that often, just because it takes a surprising amount of calculation to use. You'll also run into the instant death bullshit death trap. This game will kill you a lot, but it's also paradoxically not that hard. Also, there is blocking. There's blocking and parry. Blocking, well, you just put up your sword by the Y button. You're using Xbox. And in order to parry, you gotta, when the monster lunges to attack, you will counter move and unleash a powerful attack. Honestly, that was the kind I did that a lot more than charging. Shockingly satisfying. And finally, there's your magic attack, which is on the right thumper, which is just like an energy bolt, which can be charged up, and effects. And no kind of sub weapons. Also, you can bounce back enemy projectiles.
Oh, you have a back dash with left bumper.
Yeah. Yes. I was getting to that. Once again, the backdash is very Castlevania, very Alucard, but I know Juste Belmont had a backdash. In
almost every Belmont used to have a back and a front dash.
Yeah. Bathorn here only has the backdash. that's about it in terms of move sets. The gameplay is fairly simple. Once again, it's very original Castlevania 3, that kind of deal where you are trying to get from point A to point B. Some of the levels are very horizontal, like this one. There are some levels that get verticality. So there are some levels that will provide you the clock tower experience, or a tower experience where you have to jump up, but not as elaborate as Castlevania, at least from what I found. And you will also have to fight a boss at the end of the series of levels. And it plays out pretty typically in terms of boss encounters. Find the weakness, the right technique to use. Like an enemy like that, you have to use the parry.
Oh, it's block then attack.
Yes. Like I said, it's something that takes a bit of timing to get used to, but honestly, the parrying is the best move in this game by a country mile. And you don't
as it often is in games where they let you do that.
Yeah. And you don't get a double jump.
Is the parry timing tight at all?
No. It's fairly loose. That's why. That's another how it's not a soul game. Yeah. With these particular mobs, you're supposed to either use your charge attack or your parry, because it takes like 3-4 hits to kill them. Yeah, and bam, you keep doing that until it's dead. And also, like the Herb mentioned, the soundtrack is very heavy metal. I suppose that how much you enjoy the soundtrack will angle up to how much you enjoy headbanging. Like, I liked it well enough. Like, I'm not a metalhead, but it was appropriate for the game here. I don't think I would listen to it outside the game. I could see those that are dispositioned to listen to very guttural song lyrics would be enjoying this. Yeah. Also, the game has very impressive visuals. Not just in terms of like the pixel art and the fidelity on display, but the animation's incredibly smooth. And yeah, I think that's about it. Like, I could go into some of the finer details, like those particular monsters take away magic and not health. Yeah, and Petty had the same frustrations I did with the charge attack. It's just, it's a bit too hard to execute.
Yeah, the problem is it's the charge of the flashpoint instead of you can hold it, just hold it. Like, if I could hold it, it'd be better.
Right, but you actually have to time it. And surprisingly, that red skeleton is not a regenerating skeleton. No, you can't run through that. You have to kill that skeleton executioner.
I suppose the regenerating skeletons in this game are a different color.
No, there are no regenerating skeletons, because a lot of the time you get scenarios like this where you have to kill all the enemies.
That makes sense, and you can't do that with
Yeah.
blood skeletons.
Yeah. So I suppose the thing to note is when this game originally came out, it was apparently very heavily criticized for being broken or something. I don't know. Like I wasn't there for it. And this is a heavily revamped version of Slain. And since this is the version we're covering, this is the version we rate. And Back from Hell, it's a really good time. Yeah, not amazing. Not the best game from this team, or at least the team of Steel Mantis and Silver Lining Interactive. I like the run and gun Derfias a lot better, but still, this is good. Not great. I think it's a bit too simple to achieve greatness. Like it doesn't have the subtle complexities that a Castlevania game has.
Right.
But is more in depth than like if this were aiming an actual arcade game. And also, the most surprising thing was I found the difficulty to be very manageable. Like, this game is going to kill you a lot, but death in this game doesn't mean a lot, honestly. Like, it's fairly generous with the checkpoints. Not always. Like, you will have to work for them occasionally, but, there's no... you die at the boss and you go all the way back to the beginning of the stage kind of deal. It's like, believe me, that's the kind of game design I am very happy to leave in the dustbin of history. And I've got a rant about that next week, but that's next week. So, in terms of pricing, Slain Back from Hell is going to set you back $13. Bit of a strange price. Like, I think it can negotiate $13.
Yeah.
I think. Okay, I think I know. I see what you're doing there now. Yeah, $13. Cute. Anyway, Petty, Galax, anything you want to add to this conversation?
I think I'm good.
Galax?
Yeah, no, I think I'm good.
All right then. So yeah, that'll about do it for this game, and that'll about do it for this review session. So that means it's once again time for the week ahead. So coming up on Wednesday, April 9th, we will be having Houston Holmes of Night by Night, hopefully. Not gonna lie, it's another one of these developers who's been slow to get to the responses, and by this point I've sent multiple responses over multiple channels and I'm still not getting anything. So, that's always a concern, but they haven't canceled out either. So we got a few days until showtime, so they're on the docket right now. And we will be talking about Fade. Fade is a third-person action RPG. Travel to the land of Baltane, and stop a twisted cult from finishing an ancient and twisted ritual. Face powerful bosses, collect loot, and fight horrific beings. Solo developed. Which explains why it's been in early access for like 4 years or 5 years. Anyway, so hopefully we will be talking about that. We do have a Friday show planned. We'll be welcoming Marios Dimitriadis of Spectrum Games. we were originally supposed to have this about a month ago, but it got delayed for I don't know, I think some family emergency. But this is going to be an interesting one because we're going to be talking about Brebra. What is Brebra? The popular card game from Cyprus. And yeah, it also seems to be popular in like Greece, Macedonia. It's like I'm not sure if it's something that's only popular with like the Greek speaking world or if it's also played by the Turks, or go a bit north and you get the Slavic peoples. But anyway, as far as what Briba is, or Mipribra in like Greek or something like that, it is a Greek partnership version of a rummy card game of Italian origin called Pinacola. It is played by 2 to 6 players with 2 decks and 4 jokers comprising 108 cards. If 6 players play, 1 more deck and 2 jokers more are added. Rebra can also be played by 3 players with or without partnership rules. Yeah, I'm going to be honest. This is uncharted territory because, yeah, I had never heard of this before I got a press release about it in my inbox. So,
how do you spell this?
BIR IBA. Well, it certainly got Galaxy's attention. And we do have a new episode of MSP planned. So until next time, I shall wish you good gaming.